Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Tron Uprising. This is the animated series. Came out in 2012, 2013. In that time period, it's only one season. That is the most disappointing thing I've seen so far with this thing. It is 19 episodes, and it takes place between the two movies that have been released so far, Tron and then Tron Legacy, which came out in 2010. So this is sort of a midquel. It's a sequel, but it's also a prequel to Tron Legacy, and it heavily borrows upon, as you can see right here, the design work of Tron Legacy, and the sound, the music. Obviously, yes, there's elements that are inherent in both films that that bridge together, but this is so much more like Tron Legacy in aesthetics, in coloring, and just style. The music as well. It's much more modern electronic rather than classic electronic. And it's got this sort of, the animation is somewhat like an Aeon Flux kind of feel to it, because everybody's, especially, maybe it's just me, but especially the women, super leggy. The men are also leggy. You can see the limbs here on all these people are just, it's legs and arms for days. But the women, they are animated in such a way that they seem very, how can I say this? Yes, they are just, I'm going to say it as nicely as I can, they're leggy. I want to be creepy about it. It's a cartoon. So, yeah, it's visually, this thing is stunning. This thing is just, I kept going, why have I not seen this before? Why didn't I not watch this more often? It was on Disney XD, I think, for the time that it was on. And it was just not a thing that, I guess, I didn't have cable. I haven't had standard cable in a long time. But yeah, and this was also a kind of thing they never really, I don't think they ever properly released in the US on DVD or anything. So it's been a prominent bootleg on the con circuit for a while, and now on Disney Plus. By the way, if you decide to search Tron to hope to find this, you won't find it. It's weird. Like, if you type in Tro, T-R-O, it will appear in the thing. You'd think I'm kidding. Right there's Tro. There's Tron, but they're gonna add an N, and now it's gone. I'm gonna go through all these things down here. There's a ton of, oh wait, okay, now it appears. Now it appears right down here. But before, it wasn't doing that for me. Even when I was doing it on my computer, it wasn't doing that. Anyway, this is tremendous to look at. It is, it's got the spirit of the films, of rebellion and resistance against an oppressive government, just an oppressive ruler in Clue, the Flynn doppelganger, who turned evil, that we learned turned evil in the sequel. And there are a ton of actors you'll recognize in this thing. Elijah Wood plays Beck, who's the main character. He is a guy who is just a mechanic. He works on light cycles and things like that. He can pretty much fix anything, and he's super good at it. And he likes playing disc games with his friends. And their town, sort of, their little part of the grid, just was sort of out of the way until Clue and his minions decided to say, we're going to take over this area, and it's ours now. And one of his friends resisted, and they de-resed him, like right there. And that sort of radicalized Beck to say, no, we're not going to stand for this. This is not the way. This is, if Tron were here, what would Tron do? And he soon finds out, because in a very real sense, he sort of becomes Tron, and that's why they use the name rather than, obviously you want to use the name Tron for marketing purposes, but let's say Bruce Boxleitner lends his voice to this show. Yeah. You also get Trisha Helfer? Yeah, Trisha Helfer. She played Six, one of the Cylons on Battlestar Galactica. She is the voice of the Grid. There's Lance Henriksen plays one of the main bad guys. One of his minions is Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. Tons of different other actors peppered throughout here. Emmanuel Trichy, I don't know how to pronounce that. Mandy Moore plays one of Beck's friends. Nate Cordry is also one of his friends. Rob Corddry's brother, but you've seen Nate Cordry on a bunch of stuff. Their boss, Reginald Bill Johnson, you remember him from Turner and Hooch a few weeks ago? Seems like forever. And also Die Hard. David Arquette shows up, and then David Faison, Paul Scheer, John Glover. I mean, there's... Oh, and Lance Reddick from Fringe, which I'm rewatching right now with some friends. But Lance Reddick shows up in a two-parter, and I have a feeling he's going to show up again at some point. Oh, Aaron Paul and Matt Jones, both from Breaking Bad. They're, Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul. He makes an appearance in there. Kate Mara. There's just so many freaking names in this thing. Marcia Gay Harden? What? I didn't even see that before. Anyway, it's just for the voice talent alone, it's great. But if you ever wanted, we've seen tanks and flying things, and the digital versions, the grid version of motorcycles and tanks and SUVs and everything else. I get to see speedboats in this too now. There's bodies of water, and the action's all, it's sparring with the discs. It's also throwing and flipping, and it's all much more, it's a lot more, again, obviously cartoonish because it's animated, but it's so much more, there's so much more action that can be had than if you were doing it live action, because not everybody, can move like Spider-Man. Speaking of which, if you like Spider-Man Into the Verse, this has a very, very much a similar feel to that film. That might be intentional. It's a 2D and 3D rotoscoping, and there's a mishmash of different animation styles in this. That's sort of, I'm not an expert on how to delineate between each one of these, but I love it. But I know that there's a mishmash between a lot of these things, even in the same frame, the same scene, and it works really well together. Just how they depict character movements as compared to movements of machines, heroes versus villains. Everything is just so beautifully done. A friend of mine had worked on this. I can't remember what capacity, because he's an artist. I think he may have done a lot of the that stuff. I should have asked him before, but I didn't get a chance. The frame by frame stuff. Man, my brain is not working today. This sucks. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah. But anyway, Tron Uprising, if you're any fan of Tron at all, I think you get a kick out of this. And even if you're not, even if you thought the sequel was subpar and you didn't care for it at all, it wasn't interesting to you, this still has some astounding visuals, because it's, for the most part, it's very black and white with strong accents of color, not just blue and red and yellow, the primaries. There's purples and greens and everything else, and it's just layered beautifully. You get to see the city, you get to see the outer realms, you get to see how good guys are depicted versus bad guys in, obviously in a color, the blue versus red or white, and there's lots of little nods to the original film as well. So it's there's also a surprise coming that I shouldn't have looked at the name of the credits of all the people that do voices, because I won't ruin it. But yeah, there's a certain important voice that shows up at some point, probably later in the series. But you know what? To make this all the clear, I am going to make sure I watch this entire freaking series. I'm adding it to my list. It is so good. I'm just a Tron freak. Hey, the t-shirt. I got the t-shirt, so. All right. I've loved Tron since I was a kid, so it's this is to discover something new about Tron that I haven't seen before, that I get to watch immediately. That's great. It's like getting the sequel that we keep saying we're going to get and then never do. So, come on, Disney, get on it. But if not, give us more of this, more than 19 episodes. Come on. Give some people some work. All right, we're going to pick tomorrow's episode. 7-Eleven. We're staying in the 700s. We already had 7-Eleven, because 7-Eleven, you can tell by the thing that's right there, it's Toy Story 2. We had Toy Story, obviously, not too long ago. So, man, let's pick another one. I think it's time to get a new one of these random generators. 682. It's like staying at the top there. 682. Okay. All right. This is one I have not seen. It's a movie, and it is a kind of a classic. It's one of these older ones. Makes me think it's animated. I'm pretty sure it's animated. I could be wrong. But anyway, it is The Sword and the Stone. Little King Arthur action here. The Sword and the Stone. Woohoo! 682. The Sword and the Stone on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow after I've gotten a chance to watch it. All right? You watch it too. See you then.